Not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
Yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort.
One of the witnesses to these extraordinary events this morning here in New York. Again, and I know that for many of you, you've heard this a lot, but I think it's important as people join us as they do in moments like this. They are coming in all the time, that there have been attacks in 2 American cities, New York and in Washington. The trade centers here in New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there's, you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord. There are no words.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
They say the question, where were you when the terrorist attacks on 9/11 happened, is the new version of the older historically pivotal question, where were you when Kennedy got shot? I remember well where I was when 2 hijacked planes flew into the World Trade Center Twin Towers in New York on 9/11/2001. I was living in my sister's garage at the time, and was flicking through TV channels late one night when I came across a live news broadcast. The image was of one of the Twin Towers belching out a giant dark column of smoke from its top floors. It looked surreal, and the voices of the news presenters weren't quite sure what to make of the scene either. Then to my and the news presenter shock and horror, another commercial jet suddenly zoomed into the picture and slammed into the remaining tower, and disappearing in a ball of fire. After that, we knew that the first plane crash into the first tower was no accident, but a deliberate act. Like most people around the world, that event made a very strong impact on me, and its effects still reverberate around the world today, setting the tone for the beginning of the new century with an unclear future out of sight. Around 4 years after 9/11, while thinking back on that day, maybe because of some stuff I was reading at the time, or maybe out of intuition, I searched for a Bible and looked up Genesis 11, verse 1 to 9. Which is about the Tower of Babel. This is how it went. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. After I read that back in 2005, I sensed that somehow the story of the Tower of Babel and the attacks on the Twin Towers in New York were connected. And after reading some other stuff recently, I am sure of this connection. To understand my reasoning, we have to first go back in time and space to the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, city, and civilization itself, which was in a place called Sumer, circa 3400 BC, in what today is the country of Iraq. It was in this place and time that a mysterious people called the Sumerians made a seemingly quantum leap from their formerly settled Neolithic lifestyle to that of civilization. When they lived in agricultural Neolithic life, their main focuses were the domesticated animals and crops they reared for survival. So the animals, specifically the cow, became their main deities, around which the life of their village and town communities revolved. But over time, the Sumerians began to pay more attention to the sky above them, and how the 7 heavenly bodies of the moon, sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn moved in relation to the fixed stars of the night sky. And so these rotating celestial spheres became their new gods that represented an abstract pattern. And from this conscious analysis by the Sumerian priests of this apparently awesome pattern in the sky to determine the will of God, or what they called Meh,